Hi all, welcome to Andrea DSouza's kitchen. Today I'm going to share with you one of our favorites, and that is the Goan Prawn Balchão. Balchão is a traditional pickle that we make out of different kinds of fish. But the one that I'm going to share in this video today is a prawn pickle or a prawn balchão that we are going to be making. Now this has been taught to me by my cousins Agnel and Goretti. And this is their recipe that I will be following with a few modifications at my end. Agnel and Goretti are both amazing cooks, and a trip to Goa is never complete without a lavish lunch at their home. And this balchão is one of the many pickles that I have eaten at their home and I'd like to share with you today. Balchão is specially made so that it can be had during the rainy season when fish is not easily available. But we enjoy it all around the year. This recipe that I'm going to share with you right now is a bit tedious because it involves making a prawn preserve and also another HR masala which we'll be adding to the balchão. However, do trust me when I say that no matter how tedious this process is, the end result is going to be amazing and you will definitely enjoy this balchão. But before I go ahead with my recipe, a few usual reminders. Don't forget to like my videos and to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also do visit my other two YouTube channels, that is Andrea DSouza, the English teacher, as well as Sleep Stories with Andrea DSouza. You will surely enjoy both those channels if you have liked Andrea DSouza's kitchen. So without waiting further, let's begin. I have taken 1 kg of very tiny small prawns. In Konkani we call them galmo. Now I have washed them well and I have cleaned them, and I'm going to place them on a tray and let them dry in the hot sun for around 5 to 6 hours. Suppose you do not get hot sun where you live, you can hang them in a muslin cloth and let the water drain out for around 12 hours. Once the water has drained out completely, I'm going to divide them into 4 parts. I'll take 1 part, that is 1/4 kg, in one bowl, and I'm going to put the remaining 3/4 of the kg in another bowl. The 1/4 kg that is there in the smaller bowl, I'm going to use for the preserve. And the remaining 3/4 kg I'm going to use for my balchão. Now this is my smaller bowl with a 1/4 kg of galmo. So I'm going to put around 3/4 of a teaspoon or 1 teaspoon of salt in it and a little bit of haldi powder, that is around 1/4 of a teaspoon of haldi powder, and I'm going to mix it well and let it remain aside for around an hour, hour and a half. I'll follow the same procedure for my 3/4 kg of galmo which I have kept in the larger bowl. Here I'm going to add around 3 teaspoons of salt and again another 1/4 teaspoon or maybe 1/3 of a teaspoon of haldi powder, and mix this also well and keep it aside for an hour, hour and a half. This is what it will look like in a while. So I'm going to start off with this smaller 1/4 kg bowl first. I will take around 1 large cooking spoon of oil, and when the oil is hot, I'm going to add these prawns to it, and I'm going to let it fry on a high flame for around 5 minutes till it turns slightly brown. You don't want it very crispy, just a little bit brown, and the prawns to be a little cooked. See, it's done now, so I'm going to remove it and keep it aside. See, this is how it will look. It's cooked but at the same time not very crispy. I'll follow the same procedure for the remaining prawns, that is the remaining 3/4 of a kg that I had kept aside. I will add that also part by part. Do not add the entire set of prawns at the same time. Add around 2 spoons at a time and fry it, and after that is done, go on to the next batch. This is what it will look like. In my mixer jar, I'm going to add that 1/4 kg of fried prawns, and to that I'm going to add around 1/4 of a pod, or say around 4 or 5 cloves of garlic, along with around 5-6 peppercorns and 4 or 5 red dry chilies. I'm going to grind all this with palm feni. Now, since I did not have palm feni, I have used a little bit of urrak that I had in the house. And make sure you grind it either with urrak or with feni. Do not add any water to it. This is what it will look like. See how thin it has become? This is what it needs to be. It's got a beautiful color too because of the chilies. That was my prawn preserve. I'm going to keep that aside and move on to my next masala. For my next masala, I have taken 40 dry red chilies. I prefer using Kashmiri chilies, but suppose you want to use the spicy variety, you can do that. To that, I have added around 20 to 22 corns of pepper and around 1 pod of garlic. Now, 1 pod could be again around 20 cloves of garlic. I have also added 6 cloves and 2 inches of cinnamon. This part is optional, so you can decide. I also need half a teaspoon of jeera or cumin. Now, since I did not have the whole jeera at home, I have used jeera powder. And also add 1 teaspoon of coriander seeds. And yes, I forgot the haldi, around 1/3 teaspoon of haldi. To that, I'm going to add Goa vinegar. This is what Goa vinegar looks like, since many of you have asked me. It's got a rather strong flavor. Now, I'm going to grind this masala entirely in Goa vinegar. No water at all. This is the consistency. It has to be so thin and ground very fine. You might require around 3/4 to 1 cup of Goa vinegar to reach this consistency. These are both my masalas side by side. The one in the larger jar is my masala, and this is the prawn preserve which I had ground earlier. Moving on to the next step, I'm going to cut 6 onions rather fine and take around 5 or 6 sprigs of curry leaves or kadhi patta. This kadhi patta has been growing in my garden. In fact, the plant was given to me by Goretti when I had gone to her house in Goa around 2 years ago, and it is still growing beautifully, and the kadhi patta has a lovely aroma. In the same pan in which I had fried the prawns earlier, I'm going to add around 3/4 to 1 cup of oil. And to that, I'll add the kadhi patta and the onions and fry until the onions are slightly tender and brown. The reason I'm using so much of oil is because I would like to preserve my pickle or my balchao for a long time. Once the onions have become nicely brown and tender, I'm going to add around half the masala that I had ground. The remaining half I'm going to keep for the next time I want to make some balchao out of any other fish that I might buy. So now this is half my masala which I'm going to mix well, and to that I'm going to add around 2 tablespoons of the prawn preserve that I had made. The reason I'm adding 2 tablespoons of the prawn preserve is to get a nice thick consistency and flavor of the prawns. So here I've added that too, and I'm going to mix this all well, and I'm going to fry it on a medium flame for around 3 or 4 minutes until the raw smell goes away. Once that is done, I'm going to add that remaining 3/4 kg of fried prawns that I had kept aside, and I'm going to coat it all well and let it fry for around 3 or 4 minutes again. The smell of the masala and the vinegar and the prawns in my kitchen right now is so amazing that I cannot describe it to you. Now in the same jar in which I had ground the masala, in the smaller jar, I have added around a cup of water and I have cleansed the jar well. And I'm going to pour that water into this balchao. You can add a little more water if you find that your balchao is too thick. I will also add around 5 teaspoons of sugar. You can add more if you like. I like the flavor to be a little spicy, a little sour and a little sweet. So I have added around 5. So I have mixed it all well. This is the consistency it is right now. And I'm going to keep it on a very low flame and let it cook for around half an hour. This is what it will begin to look in around 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to let it cook for around a little more time because the flavors have to be pulled into the meat. So this is what it will finally look like once it is done, and you can switch off your flame and let it settle down for a while. Now in order to store it, you need to wait until it cools completely and then store it in a glass bottle. Do not use any other kind of metal or box or plastic to store. It has to be glass. And do not eat it so soon. Wait at least for 6 to 7 days so that your balchao matures and it tastes extremely good. So there you go, your famous Goan balchao. It is one of my family favorites and I'm sure you will love it too. So do try it out. I know it is a bit of a tedious process, but trust me, it is worth it. So definitely try it out and give me your feedback through your phone calls, your SMSs, your messages and your emails, and let me know how it turns out. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So have a great day ahead and enjoy your prawn balchao with either boiled rice or maybe with poi or pao or even pulao. And don't forget to have a shot of cashew feni with it. Bye bye.